Archimex login confirmed.
Welcome to the Lodge. You've accessed
the Lodgecast experience.
Warning, warning. Dangerous spoilers ahead. Enjoy.
Welcome to another exciting, dramatic Lodgecast. I'm your Lodge Master. With me, as always, is Brother Bishke.
Hey!
And Brother Lucas.
Evening.
And tonight, our first guest is a guru, one of our all-time greats, Brother Ben.
Brother Ben!
And joining us after the film is the Lodge Mistress herself, Sister Millie.
Woo! Yes.
And that is for the sole reason that she does not know what this movie is or the notoriety that is building and burbling around it. The movie tonight is Life Itself, and it currently sits at 11% fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. Bishke, now what is our rule? If something dips below 15 or 12,
I'd say like in the Rotten Tomatoes, when you're dealing between like a 30 and a 70, like it's usually like you just don't even want to bother necessarily.
Right.
But
unless it's like 50.
Yeah. Well, if it's 50, yeah. Certain 50s, like might be something
like an Oliver Stone 50 you need to see.
Yeah. But when you drop below 30, and definitely when you drop below 20, you're getting into something interesting.
And when you're this close to 10%.
Yes.
Because what was Mother's Day? Mother's Day was 8?
Mother's Day, I think, was like 7 or 8.
Okay. So we're dancing with that kind of caliber.
Gotti was 0.
Gotti was 0. And the reviews, the positive reviews I've glanced at, I haven't looked too much into it because I want to be surprised as I can be. But even the positive reviews have deep, heavy caveats. Oof. And they all say stuff like, I see what it's trying to do. I commend what it's attempting. So, oh man, we might be in for something great. It's 2 solid hours. It was like Notorious on Arrival.
Well, and what I was going to loop back to is it's dipping down to like almost 10% on Rotten Tomatoes, and it is it's a prestige picture. Like it premiered at Toronto.
Yes.
Like it ostensibly had quote unquote Oscar buzz. So I love movies that backfire that badly, that they think this is going to be an Oscar contender.
They swing all the way.
Yeah.
It's from the creator of This Is Us, the television
which
show.
I've only seen one episode of after the Super Bowl this year, and while a number of people at the Super Bowl party I was attending were crying, I was laughing.
You asshole.
To myself.
Right.
But
inside,
it's. I think this one's going to try to go for the tearjerker, and we'll see if I can get any tears pulled out of me.
Yeah. Do you think what's our guess? Is any of us going to cry? I think Millie's going to cry. I think she might, even if she hates it.
Well, for the record, I actually read this script a few years ago for an actor who was offered the part that Oscar Isaac wound up taking. And what's crazy is I used to read scripts like in development a million years ago. So I'd read Dan Fogelman specs, like My Mother's Curse, that became that Barbra Streisand, Seth Rogen movie, and there was another one I forget that those guys did with Ryan Gosling. But like none of them I liked. Like I always thought they were kind of studio hacky, generic. And Bishke, with This Is Us Super Bowl episode, I felt the same way because it almost had a Zucker Brothers quality, where if you just pitched it like a degree to the left, like it's totally parody.
That's what people have been saying about this. Is like if you just breathe on the knob, it becomes comedy.
But bringing it back to when I read the script, it had been 2-year dry spell since I had read anything professionally, and I was working as a consultant temporarily as a contractor, and I read it. And what was crazy is I knew who he was. I knew what Dan Fogelman was at that point. But when I read it, first script in over 2 years, it made me cry. Like I cried reading it, not once, but twice. And I definitely recommend it. I was like, I don't know. Like maybe he's got something. He's got something. But then Yeah,
Ben, don't be so quick to judge.
But then when the movie got made and I saw the first poster or billboard, which is a shot of Oscar Isaac and Olivia Wilde. It's like a married couple, but then you have Antonio Banderas off to the right,
with a salty beard,
kind of like spying on them, or he's not spying on them. But
I
it's
don't
like
know if I knew that Antonio was in this.
Yeah, and I was like,
Spoiler alert.
I don't remember that character in the movie.
Maybe it got supersized.
But
in the intervening
once
years.
the reviews came out and Dan Fogelman started defending himself, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I've never seen a director get so defensive or
should talk
insecure
about that.
over his response to it, which we'll talk about later. But wow, get the popcorn ready. This is gonna be I think a fireworks show.
I didn't know he was fighting back.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Wow.
Well, that's what usually happens when you believe so thoroughly that you've made a serious piece of work.
Yes.
But people are taking it the wrong way. I can't imagine a bigger nightmare as an auteur than to be completely misunderstood or unintentionally laughed at. Mm-hmm. But when that happens, sometimes you get the most special movies ever made.
Yeah.
Because there's sincerity. And I want to be very careful not to discourage sincerity, because I do think it's the hope of the future of cinema. If we can get back to actually good sincerity in movies, you can't touch that. It touches everybody on the planet.
It's true.
But if you miss that little dot,
It's
you are so fucked forever.
It's like going for a lo-fi with someone, and then you kind of accidentally miss and hit their crotch, and it's super awkward. So many feels.
But who knows? This might be the real deal. Everybody might have it wrong.
I look for in a movie is to feel something or be engaged.
Sure.
When I start to get in my head and I'm thinking about other stuff, you're not doing it right. But if I'm completely absorbed in what I'm seeing, and hopefully I'm with it, it's like a drug. There's no better feeling.
Do you think you're gonna cry, Brother Bishke?
No, I think we're paying for the sins of Lodgeversary 5 here.
We're fresh off.
We are shaky. We are salt burned, and
we're fresh off a weekend of seeing 45 movies. So
back to back to back to back.
After that, we'll see if this cleanses our palate or muddies the waters even further. Ben, do you think you're going to cry?
I do not.
What's the last movie you cried in? Can you even remember?
No, I can't. I'm actually a really easy lay with cries, but it needs to, but I can just tell this is not going to be that.
This isn't going to do it.
Yeah.
I'm worried that we might be reacting the wrong way. Let's say we're laughing inappropriately while someone else next to us is crying.
Okay, yeah,
that can cause drama. That can cause.
We need to be careful with that.
You need to do what I did at Dance from the Dark, where you just kind of.
Just swallow it, guys.
Just swallow that laughter.
Really, because we don't people are paying good money for this that aren't on AMC A-list, that are paying full evening prices.
Yeah.
The theater looks like it's filling up, and we need to just let people have their own emotions, and we need to let Millie have her own
That's
emotions
right.
if she's
She's
locking
the
into
control
it.
subject.
She's the control. Okay, guys, when we see her, don't let on any of this.
Poker face.
Poker face.
It's a full theater. We got to be excited. The theater's going to be excited.
People are buzzing.
Nobody knows what we're thinking.
This is another one where the audience score is 80%. Mm-hmm. It's like
could be Russian bots or troll bots.
It might be, but it's like a faith-based film. It's when the critics go low, the audience shoots up.
Yeah.
So,
and This Is Us is close to faith-based. So
yeah. Try to keep an open mind.
Totally.
Allow the tears to flow if they're coming, and stifle it if it's the fucking biggest turkey of the century.
Yes, sir.
And we will come back and we will hash all this out. Burbank 8, recliners.
8 out.
Let's do it.
Woot woot.
Back from living life itself.
A lot of life.
We got the lodge mistress.
Hello.
And she is now fully educated. Before we get into it, Brother Ben, last time we were here with you, it was the infamous, the gaudy-tacular, gaudy evening of
Fandango failed shuffle.
Fandango failure shuffle.
Indeed.
There was some whacks. You got whacked.
Yep.
Nathan got whacked.
Yep.
It was brutal.
Bloody.
But now you successfully endured a movie.
I did.
In this theater. And what do you think? Tell us your history with this theater, when the last time you were here, and what you think now.
So previously, my one experience at this theater was Donnie Darko on Halloween 2001.
The re-release.
No!
The director's cut?
No! OG.
Just OG.
OG.
Oh, wow.
And it was a fucking dump in 2000, like nightmare dump in 2001. So that's kind of what I was expecting. But man, this is like the new secret weapon.
Yeah, they turned it around big time.
I mean, it feels like a little private screening room.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
very
it
small
does.
theater, very luxurious recliners.
Yeah.
Very swift.
Yeah.
Before we go any further, Brother Bishke, what's that synopsis on life itself?
From RottenTomatoes.com. As a young New York couple goes from college romance to marriage and the birth of their first child, the unexpected twists of their journey create reverberations that echo over continents and through lifetimes in life itself.
Yeah, they do.
Director and writer Dan Fogelman, This Is Us, examines the perils and rewards of everyday life in a multi-generational saga featuring an international ensemble, including Oscar Isaac, Olivia Wilde, Antonio Banderas, Annette Bening, Olivia Cooke, Sergio Perez Mencheta, Laia Costa, Alex Monner, and Mandy Patinkin. Set in New York City and Carmona, Spain, life itself celebrates the human condition and all of its complications with humor, poignancy, and love.
Are you crying? Reading the synopsis? Maybe a little bit. Okay. So, Sister Millie, we began this cast with things that you didn't know.
Okay.
That this movie is notoriously getting trounced
Oh.
by
Critics, yeah.
Just demolished. It currently sits at 11% on Rotten Tomatoes.
Wow.
So just knowing that,
Wow.
let's start to break this down. It's a labyrinthine plot of sorts. I don't think we need to get into all of the ins and outs, because then we're just going to be recounting the tale.
Before we recount, how many twists were really unexpected? I mean,
Yes.
I'm curious.
That's a good question. I think maybe 2.
I thought 2, maybe 2. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
pretty portentous with its ladling on of dread and repetition through the generations. But we start with Oscar Isaac and Olivia Wilde, and it's basically a comedy. We start with Samuel L. Jackson narrating this wild tale, and then we realize that it's just a script that Oscar Isaac's character is writing. And then we double back again, and we realize he used to be happy, but now he's got a long beard, so he's mourning something. And then we kind of dig through his relationship with Olivia Wilde, who is hilariously pregnant. And we kind of go back through their meet cute, and we go back through her birth, her tragedies throughout her life. It's a big stew of flashbackery.
Indeed.
What was the backseat thinking in the early going?
I saw Annette Bening get hit by a bus.
Annette Bening gets hit by a bus in the first maybe minute.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I was
It comes on strong.
yeah.
But then you realize it pulls back and it's like, oh, that was just a script. Annette Bening really plays his psychiatrist. But it's trying to get your attention.
Yeah,
It's
but I
trying
was
to be
like,
edgy.
this director's gonna make some bold moves. So I was into it.
Brother Ben, what were you feeling?
I
Were you feeling assaulted a little bit? Or were you with it?
It felt like a lot to me,
Yeah.
and it didn't feel like it was working to me.
Sure.
But, it's fucking Oscar Isaac.
Yeah.
So
He can sell pretty much anything.
he can
at
sell
this
pretty
point.
much. It's Oscar Isaac and Annette Bening having a therapy session.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
that's sort of
treatment.
that's like the framing device. So, which I didn't even know Annette Bening was in this thing. So I don't know. Like the two of them can sell anything. So like I wasn't in hell, but it wasn't really clicking. I like and by the way, I love that Bob Dylan album. That's
Okay. So you're a Dylan man.
I do. I go through Dylan phases, but goddamn,
there's a lot of Dylan.
There is a lot.
There's a lot of Dylan talk. There's a lot of Dylan music. It's Dylan pumping through the veins.
Entire score. The entire score is just variations on
Yep.
make you feel make you feel my love.
Yeah.
And it's just oppressive.
Yes,
at
I
a
agree
certain
with that.
point.
And as someone myself who has never gone through an official Dylan phase, I'm bemused by how many movies just latch onto Dylan. And I started early on. I started thinking about Vanilla Sky, which is another one where Dylan is just rammed up its ass, and the comparisons kept growing and snowballing in the same way that Vanilla Sky was pretty much batshit off the rails. Like 10 minutes into it. But I kept wanting to see what the next layer was. I'm like, how can this possibly be all sorted and straight and perfect in somebody's mind enough to make this? And that's what kept me going on this one. Bishke, were you feeling the Dylan? Are you a Dylan man?
I've also not gone through a Dylan phase.
Does it bug you when movie characters obsess about Dylan?
Usually, but I was kind of in the mood for just
going with it.
Just going with where this movie took me. Like, I think it was coming off the violence of Mandy and Assassination Nation and Predator. And Peppermint.
These other movies are informing
so much violence. And I was just like, I just want something just chill.
I just want to feel.
Not that there wasn't some moments of violence in this, but
some extreme moments.
I just wanted something sincere and relaxing.
Okay. Well, let's. Before we go to, I'm very curious as to where you're going with this.
Okay.
The plot twists don't really exist as much as the story changes. If that makes sense. The story shifts rather than twists. So when Oscar Isaac is falling in love with Olivia Wilde, it's got to be post Pulp Fiction, because they're dressed in Pulp Fiction gear
and they were watching it on the TV
a Halloween party. And they're playing Justice on the sound system, which is what, early 2000s?
Yeah, that's like 2002, 2003.
Okay,
I think.
So we're probably in that era. And then, much as Annette Bening gets hit by a bus at the beginning, Olivia Wilde, pregnant as all hell, fresh off a trip to Oscar Isaac's folks' house, gets hit by a bus and dies. So, that's not a shock. They're telegraphing this throughout, I think. Were you guys shocked by that?
No.
Not really, no. And they didn't really make it shocking.
So the whole time you're led to believe. There's a lot of talk of untrustworthy narrators as well, which is super annoying in my book.
Totally.
Super annoying, because anytime a movie self-consciously brings up an untrustworthy narrator, they're playing tricks, and they know they're playing tricks, and they think they're super clever, and it immediately puts me on the offensive. And we get a lot of that early and often. So
his script, I believe, is titled Unreliable Narrator.
That he's writing with Samuel L. Jackson. So, and Samuel L. Jackson's in it, by the way. But through the therapy sessions, we're led to believe that they broke up, not that she died.
Yes.
And then it is revealed that, she actually died, and he was committed to an insane asylum, and yada, yada, yada. He ends up blowing his brains out in the therapy session.
Yeah.
First real twist,
that was
in my opinion.
That was a legit shock. That was a legit shock.
I didn't know that was going to happen.
That was a legit shock.
Because, again, the tone, up until now, is pretty comedic. They have a dog named Fuckface.
Yes.
Which they say fuckface like 400 times. They know, that's another thing. They know when something's funny, and they beat it into the fucking ground. And I think they think that most audiences won't care. They'll find it funnier and funnier every time. But come on.
Yeah.
Still, funny name for a dog.
And we knew she was going to really be dead, because the whole sort of backflashing was basically an extended beach montage, like they do in other ones, where it's like they're splashing in the water and laughing.
Yeah,
I mean, that's essentially what their whole relationship was.
It's like bad Terrence Malick. It's like,
There weren't that many hands going over wheat shots, but that's just because there's not enough wheat in New York.
A lot of sunlight.
There was at the end.
There was at the end.
Sun-dappled olive fields.
Oh,
That's
too
true.
true.
That's true. He got it in the end.
Yeah.
But anyway, let's move through this plot. So,
Sure.
Oscar Isaac blows his brains out. We find out that the baby that got hit by the bus survived. There was a young boy on the bus that locks eyes with Oscar Isaac. Remember that. The baby is born. I think this
Chapter 2.
Chapter 2. It's divided into chapters, which I don't know. It's been since the 90s since I've seen chapters. But the daughter is born. Mandy Patinkin raises her. Jean Smart's out of the picture. She has like one scene as the grandmother. He's raising her. She turns into a hellion. And this section it was real surface to me.
Yeah.
Like, very, very surface. She's like a punk rocker, but it's real soft punk. And is that a Bob Dylan? That was a Bob Dylan song she sings on stage.
She did a thrash. Well, it starts out as the piano ballad cover, a very, of Make You Feel My Love, which is like the linchpin of the entire movie. And then she turns it into a thrash.
And it's not believable in the least. It is not. It is like Crate and Barrel presents punk.
Yes. Oh, too true.
And one of the meet cute things of her parents' meeting, which we flash back to, is her mom was eating a peanut butter and jelly sandwich when she met her dad. So her band is called PB and J.
Her grandparents.
Yes, sorry, multi-generations here. So her band's called PB and J in honor of that. And she's eating PB&J. There's a stack of PB&J sandwiches,
which I love.
At the venue.
Good.
Yeah, they give away like PB&Js at the merch table,
which looks gross to me. Why do you think that looks good?
Because I'm hungry.
Oh, well, okay, fair enough. There's like a dirty stack of PB&J at the venue, and she's just all of her toughness. She like punches someone in the face and. It's not believable in the least.
She smashes a PB&J sandwich in her face.
That might have been the salad dragon scene quietly. She punches this girl in the face, gets her on the ground, and then smashes a PB&J, just smears it across her face. That was pretty effective.
Yeah.
But then she goes and sits on the bench near where her mom got hit by a bus and just kind of passes out and cries. And that's kind of it for that chapter. We don't really go into her too much.
Nope.
And then before we know it, we're in España. We're a continent.
Chapter 3.
We're a continent away.
The Gonzalez family.
Chapter 3, Javier Gonzalez, is where Brother Lucas got up and ne'er returned. When we hit Chapter 3, Lucas was out like shout. And leaving us... The movie was half over by this point.
Yep.
And I thought he was just going back to McGuffin's to get a drink or something, or maybe to have an extended sit in the bathroom. But no, he was gone. No. He never came back. He was
done.
We did, at the end, get a text from him in which he explained that we did have a pretty intense weekend that we're just coming off of. Again, we saw 45 movies at a remote location, and there was a lot
and
of
he never had a good night's sleep.
No.
He never had a good night's sleep because he was the mayor of this place, the honorary mayor. So he made it clear that it was not the movie's fault. It was his body failing him. So take that for what you will. He'll render a half movie bone count in the next episode if he so chooses. But we're in España now.
Antonio Banderas?
Yeah. Bishki, what happens? Somebody else talk about this.
So they're in the fields picking olives in España. And Antonio Banderas brings in one of his workers to his room. And there is about a 10 to 15 minute scene.
Yes.
It's long.
And I was drifting in and out of consciousness during it.
I was against it initially, and then... much like Drowning, like I started going with it, and I was like, "Oh, there's kind of a sweet rhythm to this."
What I will say is, I do feel like Antonio was like selling the
Oh yeah, he's back. He's back.
It was just like the most like bland to me. The writing was just so surface, but Antonio is just fucking selling.
I think that's what brought me in. I was like, shit, Antonio, I remember you now.
Yes.
And no real flashbacks to help us out there either.
No,
it was just his face.
No, it is dial. It is just
It was
him.
pure Antonio.
Yeah.
Talking about
Antonio
olive oil.
Puro.
I don't know.
Pure Antonio.
I don't know if anyone wants to go into it deeper, but he's just talking about olive oil. And
He's talking about pouring Spanish olive oil down his throat because his father forbade his mother to have it. Yeah. So when he was out of town, she would order it. She'd bring it in. And
it's a short film.
It is. We're in like pure olive oil land at this point. You couldn't be farther from what has come before. Yeah. And I think this is where most critics get pissed because it is such a break. It is such a fissure from where we were. Yeah. And you're just it's not tantalizing like making the connection. You're just drifting at this point.
It's super bland hetero Pedro Almodovar.
Yeah. Yeah. And we kind of get into the Gonzalez family's ins and outs. Antonio Banderas' character is very wealthy, and this worker is not, but he promotes this worker, lets him live on the land to run the olive fields. He takes a bride. They have
more splashing in the fountain.
They splash around in a fountain. Yep. They have a boy, Rodrigo, and the boy grows up, and Antonio's starting to lech in a little bit on the family, trying to give
classily leching.
Classily, yeah. Like he's trying to give the boy a good life. He's trying to give him gifts. He's kind of giving little glances at the mom. And the dad kind of sees this, and he's like, the boy starts talking about New York. He's like, I must take my boy to New York. So they plan a family trip to New York. We're going back to New York, y'all. Hola. Hola, Nueva York. And then they're on a bus. Little Rodrigo saying hola to everybody. He's moving up to the front. You know he's going to say hola to that bus driver. He says hola to the bus driver. Bus driver's the villain in the movie. Yeah. What a fucking asshole.
Yeah. I know.
He turns completely to Rodrigo and engages in just a non-conversation with this young boy. And there's Olivia Wilde, pregnant as ever. Also, why is she walking out into the street?
Well, it's a crosswalk.
It is a crosswalk, but it doesn't really make sense for her to be having a conversation.
No, he stopped. Like Oscar Isaac stops. He stops dead in his tracks, and she keeps walking out into the road. Yeah. I've never done that with you, Millie. Like I've never done that.
Backed into the road?
No. It's even if I'm trying to make like the coolest point possible, I'm not going to go out dancing in the crosswalk. Yeah. So anyway,
she had baby brain.
She gets hit by the bus, traumatizes young Rodrigo. We go back to Spain and deal with his trauma for
too long.
Forever. And so, the dad sees that the kid's not getting better. He's wet in his bed. I feel like we were living with Rodrigo for a while. Yeah. And finally, he's like, Banderas, lavish money, give him the help he deserves. And then the dad is like, Antonio, you like my wife, you like my kid, take him. Like, what?
Yeah.
What?
It doesn't track.
It does not track.
And then when she was like, I love you, and I thought she was going to be like, so you have to stay. And she's like, I love you. And then she throws his bag at the door.
Yeah. Okay. So he has made up his mind that he's going to leave his family to Antonio Banderas.
Yes.
He packs. And this is all in Spanish, by the way. We are completely subtitled at this point. Yep. He starts drinking. He packs his bag. She comes down. She has this big moment where she's like, you don't decide what I love. You don't decide for me. You know, like, I chose you. You didn't choose me. Yeah, and then she throws his bag at the door as if to say, get out. What? And then he leaves. So, Bishki, does that make sense to you? Were you awake?
No, I was in and out. But, but yeah, I remember that part, but I was just like, I guess...
Think about olive oil?
I was just like, this is very manipulative. Yeah. And it's supposed to be making me cry, but it's just kind of relaxing me.
Was it the drink from MacGuffin's that was relaxing?
Yeah, that was as well. Like, I had an Angry Orchard from MacGuffin's, and I was just like,
you were just kind of coasting with it?
This is just melodrama, nonsense.
It is hetero, bland Almodovar. Yeah. That's what it is.
Yeah.
At least in the España part.
Yeah, for the España part.
So, okay, so Antonio raises the the young boy. We see him jogging through the olive fields.
Yep.
And he grows up.
Yep.
And he grows up and he grows up. And it's time to go off to college. Where are you going to go, man? Where are you going to go, Rodrigo? I'm guessing New York.
NYU.
So his mom comes down with a case of movie-itis, melodrama cancer, and she's like, you must go. You've been waiting for too long. You must go to New York. So he goes to New York, thrives, meets an obnoxious girl who is teaching him about Whole Foods, and it's like pranking him on April Fool's Day, saying that she's pregnant with his kid. He doesn't understand April Fool's Day, which like
That was good.
that was good.
That was
Like
good.
they could have cut down on the Hispania and like had a little bit of his boy in New York, travails.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple near misses with the girl, with the punker girl.
It felt like España was a world this writer did not know.
It felt like
And so
Hispania
they
was a
very
different
general.
movie.
Yeah, just too general, too stock, like nothing real specific.
Yeah. So anyway, he breaks up with this girl. He learns that his mother has passed. He goes out running again, because that's what Rodrigo does. And then he encounters this bench where PB&J girl, punk rock girl, is flipping out about her mom. And he's like, hey, hola.
Hola.
There's like narration throughout that feels like it's not selling it.
Not selling it at all.
It feels like temp narration, and like the audio.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is like not only is it just horribly written narration,
quiet.
it's mixed really low.
It's mixed wrong. So it really sounds extra temp.
Yeah.
So the narration comes in, like the narration is kind of throughout, and the narration informs us that they never spent a night apart for 41 years after that night. And then, of course, we're at a bookstore, and it's their daughter talking about her book, Life Itself, which is about how life can surprise you. Life knocks you down to your knees, and you got to get up and keep moving, right?
Yeah, they needed a better actress for that. If she's going
That
to
was
be
a
the
rough one.
narrator,
Yeah.
I mean,
That was a rough
she was
one.
not good. She was not very good.
Something was up with that. So then at the end, they're tying it all together. We kind of dip back into all of our timelines, except for Mandy Patinkin.
Missed
And-
him. Love him. Love to see him pop
Love
up.
Mandy. He has instant gravitas for your movie when Mandy's groveling around. But we go back to España briefly, and Mom starts talking in English now, and we hold on her face for like 3 minutes as her tears are welling up. And I gotta admit, my eyes are getting a little wet, just from guttural response.
I get it.
Yeah, I totally cried when the camera cut back and she was holding her little boy. That was effective for me. I cried.
It was trying every
I know,
trick
and
in
I
the
fell.
book.
I fell hard.
And after 2 hours, it's got a cumulative effect, right?
I was crying my
what's
eyes out.
the backseat? I mean,
I'm not judging. Look. I'm not judging you for crying. I was beat down by that.
You were just beat.
I was beat down.
You didn't even have any moisture.
And I did not. And I can't remember where it was in this place, but either in the middle of this or right after it, we go into this fucking like AT&T commercial.
Oh, totally.
It's just this montage of just. It's the most saccharine bullshit, and I couldn't go for it. I couldn't do it.
Bishki, did your eyes get moist at all?
Not one bit.
That's fair. I mean, when my eyes, and to be clear, no tears fell.
No, I
had, it was like my lower eyelids were a windowsill, and there was a little rain in them.
Sure,
Just a little rain.
sure,
It evaporated.
sure.
Once that AT&T commercial started,
Yeah.
I was like, nah.
But sick mom monologues are like, I get it. It's kryptonite. Like,
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Especially when they start speaking in English, so I'm like, I don't even have to read. I can just look straight into her eyes, But yeah, like, this movie was manipulativo, like, completely. And we knew that. We knew that going in. We knew kind of to expect that. But I didn't expect it to disarm us on the early side with its kind of irreverence, and its kind of shocking gore.
Yeah.
You know? Like, I
Yeah.
didn't expect that.
Yeah.
Well, I really thought it was going to be. I didn't know anything, as you know.
Right.
And so when we went in and it was like, and it was going to be about some gay gentleman who was very
Right.
handsome. I was very excited.
Right.
Oh, yeah,
And
that's how it starts.
Right.
And-
And then I was like, what is this movie? I didn't know because the genre and the tone changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
You were just
know,
dropped into combat.
Yeah. But I thought that the salad dragon scene was him in Starbucks, quite frankly.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
He's in Starbucks, and he's making... Oscar Isaac is in Starbucks with his full beard craziness,
But he
making a
doesn't
scene.
start off crazy. That was what was salad dragon-y about it.
Yeah.
He's kind of normal, and then
He
he
builds
flips
up.
into
Yeah.
crazy mode.
He starts singing Bob Dylan, and he says, fuck you very much to the attendant.
Popping Xanax and
Yeah. Pouring booze into his coffee.
And again, I was like, what is this movie?
Yeah. Yeah, it's hard to nail down until you get to España, and then you're like, then it's too late. It's
Yeah.
nailed you down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm interested to read some of these reviews now because...
Well, so just really quickly,
Yeah.
let me just, I know we're running long, but one of how I became sort of, this was under my radar, but out of Toronto, the reviews started coming in and Fogelman started to get real defensive and
Right.
real pissed. And he sort of issued an edict from on high saying, the problem is straight white male critics don't get it.
Okay.
And what we need is more like people of color and gay people. They'll get this.
But what the
movie.
fuck would that
But
do?
but I'm just telling you,
Nothing.
like,
The
but
movie
that's
is-
the thing is like it is the straightest, whitest,
Yes.
It
like
is.
Yeah.
male. Like it just all of the women are just sort of like are sort of props to the tortured.
They are.
white men. You know,
Yeah,
like
they
they're-
just die
It's
and
the
die.
mom. It's the manic pixie
Yep.
dream girls. You know,
And it's not...
That guy.
And it's not...
Jesus.
We almost got hit
That scared
by a
me.
car. That would have been life itself.
life itself.
Anyway, and the España stuff wasn't particularly
Specific?
Specific or insightful.
or like I mean, it was pretty white bread, even
Yeah.
though
Yes.
we're speaking Spanish, you
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
So that's a bizarre defense, but
I think he was just come on. He's just lashing out.
I think
because-
I think when you swing this hard for the tear ducts and people are like laughing, you short circuit.
Yeah.
You have to.
What do we feel about the audience? I mean, there were tears
Oh.
flowing.
The audience was full. It was a
Yeah.
full theater.
We had a
Sold
couple
out.
claps at the end.
Oh,
Couple
for
claps.
sure.
Diverse audience, age-wise, race-wise. Everybody wants to know about life itself.
Yeah.
And we're deep in its run, aren't we? A couple
Oh.
weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
Tuesday
Yeah.
Yeah. But with the comfy chairs.
with the comfy chairs, yeah. And I think people just want to know what's up.
Yeah.
People now more than ever too want to go against the grain, especially the establishment. And if the critics are like boo, and the audience purports to be happy with it, they're gonna check it
I think
out.
there's a huge This Is Us.
Interesting.
People
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
There's a huge This Is Us following.
Yeah.
And they know what they're in for, a good cry, and they're like, let's go to the theaters.
They want that catharsis.
Yeah.
with kind of a happy ending.
I'm confused as to how to even rate it. I don't really know. I have thoughts. I have initial ideas, but I'm gonna punt it to you, Milster.
Well, look, it's got a few things that I always love, which
Sure.
is some longing. I love longing.
You do love some
There was
longing.
longing in every family,
There were no
which I
Brits.
love. There
There's
was
no
no
British.
Brits. There was no Brits. But, I do love a little longing. I love flashbacks shit. And I love it when you cut back and you get more information than you did the first time, and I love all that. It's like candy to me.
All right.
But it was very manipulative. It was not very specific. I did like the Olivia Wilde couple. I thought that was actually like the dinner scene with Patinkin and the mom. I was like, oh my god, this is pretty good. But
They could have made a whole
anywho's-
movie out of that
Yeah, I was
situation.
way more interested in that. But when all's said and done, I did enjoy it, and I did get a good cry. So I'm
good.
I'm gonna give it 2.5.
2.5. Where did you cry the hardest?
I don't know. Probably somewhere.
In España?
Maybe with the mom and the kid, but also just like periods throughout.
Just
where I'll
throughout.
just cry.
They're just torrents of tearfall.
Yeah.
2.5. Okay.
Yeah.
Brother Bishke, what are you thinking?
Well, going in, I was ready for the pain. I was ready for something really bad.
You were ready for Mother's Day.
I was ready for Mother's Day.
Wow.
I didn't know what. That was my expectations. Because I was ready to throw the Roger Ebert Memorial half bone because they took Life Itself, the movie, and the book that Roger Ebert wrote, and they stole it.
That's
right.
That just came out a few years ago.
They stole it.
Yeah.
And I was fire hot. I was not having it. But then I got in there, and it was not nearly as bad as I thought it was going to be. But it was not nearly good. But so I'll throw 2 bones.
Okay.
All right.
You know, it's sometimes just refreshing to just clear the palate. Just
It's
not.
Definitely cleared the palate. I'll tell you that much. Considering all the other stuff we've been
Considering
watching.
what we've been going through.
Yeah, I think it plays a valuable role.
Yeah, I needed something wholesome tonight, and it provided.
Yeah, very wholesome,
Yeah.
R-rated tale.
Yeah.
Brother Ben, where are we going with this? I'm intensely
Me
curious.
too.
I mean, look, it was not as terrible as I thought it was going
Sure.
to be, but I can't say I really enjoyed sitting through that. I mean, I thought the acting was good. It was competently made.
Mm-hmm.
Looked good. So what is that? That's like a 1.5, right?
About there, yeah.
That's my. I mean,
1.5 is a little. There's a little anger.
Well, no, because
There's a little anger there.
I do feel like it's super manipulative.
Yeah.
And I do think there's like a ton of, but I wasn't in hell.
Sure.
You know, I've had way worse times at movies, so it was fine.
Okay. That's a 1.5
Yeah.
or 2.
Okay. Yeah.
So what?
1.75.
I'm gonna be a dick and say 1.5.
Okay, that's fine. That's perfectly within your right.
Yeah.
I think myself, I was actually kind of feeling it up until España. I was just because it was so weird.
But
Like-
even the PB&J.
That kind of the bloom fell off the rose a little bit, but
Yeah.
it was so short. That section
Yeah,
was like 10 minutes long, so it didn't really fuck with me too much. And I thought I was going to get more Oscar Isaac material, but I didn't. The rug got pulled out. So until I got to España, I was at a 3. I was like, shit, I'm enjoying this. I'm curious. I feel like it's not nutritional, but it's interesting, and it's like a duck wading into toxic sludge. It changes form once, it changes form twice.
It could have gone on forever.
You gotta keep watching it. You gotta see where it ends up. Is it gonna start talking? And then, I don't know, I got lost.
Yeah.
I got lost in the olives.
Yeah.
And I think at most it dipped down to 1.5, and then it evened out at 2.
Okay.
It evened out at 2.
That's fair.
I think it's getting trashed because people, it's like the uncanny valley, you know, like you have a robot that looks almost human, talks almost like a human, but it's a
little off.
Yeah, like its hair blows wrong in the wind and you're suddenly terrified of it.
Yep.
I mean, if you're a critic coming in with a sharp sword, there's a lot.
There's
to
a
swing
lot.
At.
There's a lot. And if you're in the wrong mood,
Yeah.
like
I was in the right mood. Yeah.
Bishke was obviously in the right mood. Lucas, we just got to pray for that boy.
Yeah.
That sweet, sweet boy.
Check in with them after.
I
this.
would imagine he'd give this 1 bone.
Yeah.
Because he left before the Gonzalez suite.
Oh my God.
So I think he'd give it a bone. Or a half bone.
I think
He might latch onto that Roger Ebert
He might have
stuff.
latched onto the Roger Ebert Memorial half pound.
But we'll see. We'll see what he has to say, or not, or we'll just let it die. But we wish him well. We hope he feels better. I'm glad we saw it. I'm glad
Yeah.
it cleansed the palate. Made me think about driving home extra carefully. Made me think about hugging my sweet wife, appreciating my sweet friends, and
Never laugh together in the sunlight, though.
no, or else shit's gonna go wrong. But Brother Ben, thank you for joining us
Thank you,
tonight
brother.
at the Burbank Media Center 8. Now you have this
I
back in your
know.
deck.
Always a pleasure.
It's great. And Lodge Mistress, as always, I'm so glad that we were able to just drop you into this.
Yeah.
Just without you knowing a damn thing. I want to try to do that more often with you. I think that would be great.
So good.
Would have loved to have done that with Peppermint with you. But we'll try to find those special movies. Just bring you in. We're entering the fall months.
Yeah, October's a busy month. We got many, many movies to see.
We got a lot going down. We got
Stars Born. I can't wait.
Stay tuned and let us know what you think on Instagram, and give us a 5-star rating on iTunes if you can. That'd be great. That'd be awesome.
I'll do it myself.
Fucking do it.
Oh, I'll do it.
You do it. Everybody in this car does it.
We get 4 ratings.
Bam.
If 5 people do it, then we have 5 stars, and people think we're quality.
Maybe we are.
Maybe we are. Maybe we're like 2.5 Bone podcast. So
That's life.
that's life. Love and light,
Especially love.
and life itself.
Love and life.
There
Oh.
it is. There it is.
It wasn't really clicking.